How are you doing? This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond David. What we're going to talk about really quickly today is the real reason why you're broke, how we lost billions in Orlando tourism revenue. This is going to be a really good, I would say, discussion plus presentation for people that really want to kind of understand how to see things more from a business-minded standpoint and how to be able to look at a scenario and kind of understand what are some of the revenue opportunities that I may be missing, that I may not be aware of, because I never kind of looked at things from this particular perspective. So that's who this particular video is going to be for. So really quickly, that this video is being sponsored by www.thehighestpaid.online. We want to encourage you to go to the link, look at what we're presenting, look at what we're offering. We've had a lot of success in helping people get the life that they desire by learning how to leverage the financial markets. We will be having a 420 sale, so you may want to get your money together for that 420 sale, but then that sale will be over relatively quickly after the 420 holiday, right? So if you wait, you're going to still miss it. But we want to encourage you to go ahead and look into that. So let's go ahead and get into the presentation. Let's get up on out of here. So what we're going to talk about is how we lost billions in Orlando tourism revenue. And many people that are not from the Orlando area, they're not from Florida, they may not be from a tourist-centric environment. They may not kind of understand some of the numbers around this. And so this is one of the reasons why I was able to speak about the Disney World situation and really be able to speak to it with a lot of confidence, is because I'm from a particular part of the country in which tourism dollars are very important, and being able to bring people in, show them a good time, and have them leave is a big part of our economy. And a lot of times I think people are not aware of that until maybe they leave the country, maybe go to the islands, maybe go to another part of the world. But in Orlando, Florida, tourism is a major driver of revenue for our particular local, but also the state economy, right? So we're going to go ahead and go into that. So first problem, billions in revenue, right? How much is your group receiving? So when you're looking at the Orlando area, what you're looking at is billions of dollars in tourism revenue. The question is, how much is your group receiving? And if it's receiving $0 directly from that tourism revenue, or maybe even ancillary revenue from the tourism, the question you want to ask yourself is that, how come your group has not cut into this multi-billion-dollar revenue stream? Okay. Are you just oblivious? Not know that it's available? Do you not know that it's, you have the ability to get into it? But how come billions of dollars are going through a particular area and you and your group aren't getting any of those billions of dollars directly from the people that are bringing the money in, right? Next question, next problem. You don't have an understanding of how important the revenue is. A lot of that comes from socialization. It comes from how you've been educated. So you've gone through 16 plus years of school. You're in an environment in which billions of dollars of revenue are coming into your local economy, and your 16 plus years of school, your terminal degree, your higher level education has not taught you the importance of capturing any of those dollars and bringing them back to your group. So then you don't understand how important the revenue is, even though it's all around you and it's going on around you every day, day in and day out. So then the question you want to ask yourself is that, what have I been educated to really do then? And often we don't ask these questions because that is also part of our education, our socialization. So when somebody sits you down and says, okay, well, you have this many years of college plus your K through 12 education. Let's talk about this issue of business revenue coming to the issue. Now, you would think, well, maybe it's a result of economic specialization. Well, I'm so specialized in my field, I don't understand this particular area. But one of the biggest challenges is that this particular area is driving all the rest of the economic activity. So in the city of Orlando, once you extract the tourism dollars, there is no justification for any other thing. So everybody that works for the government loses their job. Everybody that works in the legal space, they lose their job. Everybody that works in tech loses their job, because why? There's such a disproportionate amount of money coming in from tourism, right? So if you're working in Orlando and you're working in tech, understand is that the only reason to have you working in tech in Orlando is because of the tourism money coming in. Once the tourism money no longer comes in, nobody gives a damn about your STEM degree anymore, because we can't necessitate your job without these people bringing the money in from tourism. So the fact that you got a STEM degree, nobody cares, right? Because the real economic driver in this particular area is the tourism money, right? So we talk about, again, many people have been socialized that they think is their education, but they really been socialized and not really see what's going on in front of them every day. And so that's why when you sit them down and say, well, let's have a conversation about this particular issue, they don't even know where to start the conversation. Right? But you got an education. Yeah, but I can't talk about this. But yet you got so much school, but yet I can't talk about this. But it's going on around you every day. I don't even see it. I'm not even aware of it. Right? So this is probably the biggest problem, is that you don't understand how important the revenue is. Okay? But don't worry, other people do. So they'll take the revenue and then you just become beholden to them, right? Because they understand how important it is. So don't worry, somebody got that, they got that locked up. So the solution is, right, for the people that don't want to watch the whole video, make revenue capture important. Next solution is understand the importance of tourism dollars in your particular area. So for all the people that got the short attention spans that don't want to watch the whole video, you got the problem, you got the solution. You cannot go back to whatever you was doing before you jumped on the video. That is more important than watching the whole video. So, we try to figure out how to make things real easy for people in 2023, right? So let's get into the content. Orlando does 59.3 million visitors in 2021. Number sunk a little bit in 2022. They're starting to pick back up. In 2019, they even did more than that. But let's go with 2021 numbers. So Orlando, a city, metro area is probably about 1.5 million. The real actual city of Orlando, because I'm actually from the city of Orlando. A lot of people tell you they're from Orlando. They're from Winter Haven somewhere. They from McCoy. They may be from Pond Hills. I'm actually from the city of Orlando, right? City of Orlando may have 300,000 people in it, right? But the city of Orlando brings in 50.93 million visitors in 2021. So when you're in Orlando, especially when you're in the tourist areas, the majority of people that you're going to be around are not even from the city. And so that's one unique thing about living in Orlando. It's not a really big city, but it brings in a lot of visitors. So one thing about Orlando is we get a lot of exposure to people from other parts of the world. Well, a lot of people from smaller cities with a population of 300,000, they don't get any what I would call integration from other people. They just deal with their people all the time. And that's why a lot of times they have very weird views about stuff, because nobody brings new ideas into their city. Right? So they don't get any new perspectives, new ideas about anything, because they don't have new people coming in. A lot of people from smaller cities where they don't have a demand for new people to come in, they just have the same 5 ideas rolling through the city all the time. And so when you talk to them, they kind of represent that perspective, right? Internet has changed some things, but that was very much a reality pre-social media, right? So we got 59.3 million visitors in 2021. Daily tourism numbers, right? So this is on the daily level. Magic Kingdom, 57,000 people daily. Animal Kingdom, 38,000. Epcot, 34,000. Disney Hollywood Studios, 31,000. Now understand, the top 4 in visitors daily are all Disney-owned properties, right? So just between those 4, you got already over 100,000 people daily coming to those 4 properties. Universal Studios, 29,000. Islands of Adventure, 28,000. SeaWorld, 12K. Disney Typhoon Lagoon, 6K. Legoland, 6,000. Disney Blizzard Beach, 5,000. Universal Volcano Bay, 4,000. There's something called Aquatica that I've never even been to, is 4,000. So these are daily tourism numbers. You have over, really already over probably 200,000 people daily just coming to these theme parks on the daily level, right? So Orlando visitors bringing around $4 billion in state and local taxes yearly, right? So you got $4 billion in state and local taxes yearly being brought in. A lot of that's going to be from sales and hotel taxes. $70 billion in economic impact from Orlando visitors, right? So $70 billion yearly in economic impact, right? Orlando tourism responsible for around 440K jobs, right? So that's how many people in Orlando work in tourism. Now, here's one of the issues. When you need 440,000 people to work in tourism, you don't educate them to see anything else except tourism jobs. And this is why I try to get people to understand is that often the way you're being educated is to serve the needs of your local area. They're not really educating you to do anything outside of that. And so that's something that you got to be aware of, is that when your local area is based around, and it's heavily or disproportionately based around one particular economic activity, they're going to educate everybody to participate in that economic activity. And a lot of the tourism jobs in Orlando don't require a lot of skill, and they also don't require a lot of education. So they don't necessarily need you to be highly educated and highly skilled to work in the city, because the jobs don't require that. And that's something that you got to be aware of when you live in the city. 2019, Orlando had 6.5 million international visitors. Okay. Average visitor spends $615 per trip. So that's something that's really important, right? Average visitor comes to Orlando, they spend around $600 per trip, right? Give or take a few dollars here and there. Overall, visitors spend around $44 billion per year. So you got yearly around $44 billion per year. I think that was 2019 numbers coming into the city, right? Brazil and China are going to be the top spenders. China spends $7K per visit. Brazilians spend $5K per visit. So now we know that the average spender is spending around $6,000. I'm sorry, $600. Brazil and Chinese people are outliers. They're spending around $7K per visit. And the Brazilians are spending around $5K per visit. So these are heavy hitters. These are big spenders. And Orlando now has a really, really big Brazilian section on the west side. They got probably, I want to say, over 100,000 Brazilians living in Orlando. Okay? And they've been coming to Orlando for a long period of time. I used to be at the mall, and they would have the travel buses show up at the mall, and the Brazilians would just file out. Right? I wasn't aware of the Chinese people, but I've always known about the Brazilians in Orlando. Right? They're real big in Miami too. Okay? So what we're going to talk about now is the opportunity, because this is what I think a lot of people are not aware of. So let me roll it back to the beginning. So this is what a lot of people may not be hip to, because they only sometimes see Orlando. And this is why I wanted to give you the actual tourism spending. Most people, because they're not from Orlando, they don't really travel like that. And they can't look at an area and see the economic opportunity. It's part of their socialization. It's part of their indoctrination. It's part of their education, right? Most people see Orlando as just, it's a theme park city. It's really not. It's really a resort hotel city that has theme parks attached to it. So they only see people come to Orlando and they go to the theme park and they go home. But let me really give you some game on what Orlando is also really big on: shopping. Right? So I want you to understand shopping. So I really don't show it on YouTube because that's really not my thing. But for all my people that like to really get nice with the gear, with the clothes, shoes, the women that like the bags, Orlando is a place for people that's in that space that they know about. Right? So people that really like to get nice with the gear, with the clothing, women that like to get the bags, people that really like to get they snooker game on. Orlando's a spot for that. Now, the internet has taken a lot of that away, but for the foreigners, right, who can't get a lot of this stuff via the internet, Orlando's still the go-to spot, right? So now what am I talking about? Orlando has 3 major outlets. And when I say outlets, what these are retail places where you have big brands and they sell a lot of their stuff that it didn't sell at their main places, or they want to offer these particular things at a special price for these people in this particular area. Now, you may have an outlet spot in your local area. Orlando outlets are going to be better than what you currently have. And I know this because I've been to outlets in different parts. There's an outlet south of Atlanta. It's terrible compared to the ones in Orlando. There's another outlet in St. Pete. It's terrible. Orlando has like premium outlet places. So what you have is the big brands. And then what they do is they offer you their stuff, but at a much lower price than you would get if you was to buy it retail. What a lot of people do is they go to Orlando, and not only do they go to the theme parks, but they go shopping. And they spend a lot of money, especially if you're a foreigner, because you can't even get a lot of this stuff via the internet because it will cost you so much money to ship it to your country that it really makes more sense than when you take your once-a-year trip to Orlando to just go crazy. And so you see this. So years ago, I was in Toys R Us, right? When Toys R Us still was a viable business. And there were Arabs from the Middle East. They would go to Toys R Us and they would buy all the toys. And they would put them in boxes and they would ship them back to the Middle East. Now, why would they do that? Because they can't get that where they're from. And the people in the Middle East that have money, that want to, actually make their children happy, they would pay a premium on these toys. So it would make it worth their while to go to Orlando, buy out the whole aisle in Orlando, and then get it paid to get it shipped back. They do the same thing with phones. These Arabs, they go to Walmart, they go to these places, and they buy all the Apple phones. They buy all the Apple tablets. They buy it all because it's cheaper to buy it there at Walmart and ship it back, right, than to get it from the Apple store. And then people in their land will pay a premium to get that Apple stuff. They know how to get that stuff turned on, things of that nature, right? So that's what I want you to understand. So this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. The opportunity in Orlando was not just theme parks, because it's a place where people go to really get nice on the gear level. But everybody not into clothes like that, and I get it. That's not everybody's thing. Everybody not into name brand stuff. I'm not as much as I used to be. I used to come out of the house polo down, right? I don't really move like that no more, right? But if I was really like, we had an event or something like that, I'd come out the house polo from head to toe. That's just how I was moving at one time in my life. I'm really not like that no more, but it was easy for me to get gear because I'm from a city where it's easy to get, right? And this was before you could get everything on the internet. So I would just go to the outlets and just get nice, okay? So that's what I want you to understand. So what we're doing is we're looking at this from the perspective of that people are coming into the city and they want to do a lot of shopping. So now what's the problem? You show up at the city and you want to go shopping, but you only got luggage for what? Your stay. So you go to the Nike outlet, you hit up the Polo store, right? You may hit up the where you get the bags at. I don't know whatever bag is popular right now. I'm not a chick, so I'm not really into that lane. And you get so much stuff that what's the problem? Well, I don't have enough luggage for that. So I came with 2 suitcases, but now I got so much clothes and bags and shoes. I really need 2 more suitcases to get back to where I'm from. Here's another thing. If you're taking the plane, it can sometimes be cheaper to put the stuff on the plane than to ship it back. See, something a lot of people don't really know about, because like I say, they don't get nice like that with the stuff. So sometimes if you go to a city and you get a lot of clothes or whatever you get, it can sometimes be cheaper to put it on a plane than to try to box it and ship it back to you through Postal Service, FedEx, UPS, whoever. So what a lot of people do, especially foreigners, what they do is they go to Orlando, they get nice. And when I say get nice, what I mean is they get a lot of clothes, right? And then what they do is they put it on the plane. Because if they try to ship it back, it'll cost them just as much as it costs them to buy it, right? So what do? I need to get another suitcase. So one thing I noticed living in Orlando is that you would see luggage stores, right? You would see luggage stores. Because why? People come there with 2 suitcases. I go crazy at the outlets, get nice, get fly with it. I got a room full of clothes now. So now what I need 2 more suitcases. So then what do? There's a strip in Orlando. So let me go in here and break the map down so I can show you what I'm talking about, because y'all be like, I don't know the city. There's strips in Orlando, right? So this is International Drive, right? The International goes and then it goes south. So make sure y'all can see that, okay? So that's International Drive, right? Let me zoom in a little bit. And it goes, right? So this is where you have a lot of the tourism at. Okay. And International Drive keeps going south all the way down to the Kissimmee. But what you have is you have what we call luggage outlets. And these is a lot of times owned by foreigners, but they see the opportunity. And what they do is they just sell you really cheap luggage. We're not trying to get Samsonite. We're not trying to get Louis. Just cheap luggage, because what? I got to get all my stuff back. So I go to the luggage outlet, get me some cheap luggage. I just want to be comfortable. It's not going to fall apart on the plane, because, they be throwing the luggage around like gorillas, when they be doing the little check-ins and stuff. But just enough to get it back to my country or get it back to the state that I came from. May have to put it on the car, but I know I can get it back, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to ship it, because it'll cost so much money to ship it, because they shipping by weight and they charge more than what the plane going to charge. So what happened is over the years, you have all these luggage outlets spread up. So these is all luggage outlets. You got Luggage Outlet Orlando, Luggage Outlet at wherever, Travel Pro, TMI Outlet Store. You don't want to go to Samsonite because that's premium luggage, but that may be cheaper than what you would pay for it if you was to buy direct from Samsonite. But you got all these luggage outlets. Why? Because this is around the shopping district. Now you got 3 other outlets, but this is like one of the main tourist areas. International Drive is one of the main tourist areas, and you keep going south, You just keep going into more tourism, right? So you got all these luggage outlets here. It's easy to find them now because you got Google. So once you realize I got too much stuff to go with me, go to the luggage outlet, go get me some cheap luggage and pull my stuff back. Now, why do you have the ability to do that? Because you have all these people coming to the city every year, right? 59.3 million visitors, daily tourism numbers, 4 billion in state taxes, right? 70 billion in economic impact. Let's not go to the jobs. Average visitor spend $615 per trip, spend 44 billion per year, and these are your top spenders. So when you're going around, here's a luggage super outlet, right? This is on the Strip. This is on International Drive. Here's another one. Disney gives luggage and outlet. They better not let Disney find out that they're selling Disney branded stuff. Disney will sue you, right? So these $4.99 Disney t-shirts, Disney can't find out that you're doing that. They will sue you. They're very aggressive about protecting their trademarks. But you sell luggage in here. So when you zoom out, right, this is just a strip mall on the Strip, right? We turn it around. This is International Drive, right? This is just a strip mall on the Strip. So they set these stores up, got the perfume outlet. This is like a basic strip mall. They set these stores up to do what? People is already out here shopping. They realize I'm going to have too much stuff to put in what I currently got. I need something to take it home. That's how you get some of those tourism dollars. And if you go inside these stores, they're normally going to be dominated by foreigners. You're not going to see us in these stores, even though Orlando has a really, really large Black population. Florida has a really, really large Black population. But we don't think to do this type of stuff. And it has to do with socialization and education. So with all this money running through this city, year in and year out, I'm from Orlando. We never thought to capture any of these dollars. We never thought, well, you know what? People like Black themed stuff, especially American Black themed stuff. The whole world loves American Black themed stuff or what they think is American Black themed. Let's put restaurants, soul food, whatever you want to call it, Southern ribs, whatever, and serve tourists Black themed food because we know that people from outside of America love Black American culture. We still are playing a game in which we're missing out on everything, and we don't have no power. We don't have no economic sustainability. We don't have no economic power, but we think we're doing something because they told us that you're doing something now. While all this money goes through the city, comes in, it gets sent to all these different groups of people. They using that money to build our group. And we think because they told us, well, you're all right now because you got our education. You're all right now. But they still haven't taught you to capture any of these dollars or taught you how to do it. So this is one of the biggest challenges is that you're dealing with a group of people that don't understand how to see what's right in front of them. And it's difficult sometimes to get enough in the same direction to be able to compete with these people. Because now if I set up a luggage store, I can't run it by myself. I need help. So I need other people to help me run the luggage store. But if everybody else thinks, well, because I got this piece of paper from these people and they say I'm all right now, I don't want to go work in a luggage store, then we can't capture those dollars because I guarantee if you go up in this luggage store, it's a group of one ethnic group running that luggage store. Right? Same thing if you go up in this one, right? There's going to be a group of one ethnic group. So when I was coming up, it was a lot of Arabs in these places, and they running the luggage stores. The Asian people running the little restaurants, right? Another group of people doing this, right? You got the Brazilians not serving their people with they stuff. So it's these different ethnic groups that have created these verticals to capture these tourism dollars. Well, what are we concerned with? Let me get this piece of paper from these people that say I'm all right, right? But they've only trained me to a certain level. Well, I'm never going to be competitive with them, and I'm always dependent upon them to be able to do something in this world. And it's just an issue of psychology, and it's an issue of socialization. It is an issue of not being scared to compete with these folks. That's really all it comes down to. So once you get that either in your system or out of your system, and you realize what the real deal is, then you can start moving in that particular direction. But I sat back in this city for years and asked myself, I'm from a city. There is no Black business class in Orlando. Do you got Black business people? Yes. But it's not like Atlanta. or DC or Philly. And a lot of it has to do with education and socialization. But everybody else got their business class. So while they're doing business, Negroes is arguing with each other and trying to impress each other with their paperwork from these institutions that still have not taught them how to build nothing with their own folks. Right? But then to really understand that, you got to understand like the colonial education system, things of that nature. And a lot of people don't have the worldview to have that conversation. So we got to keep it real ABC right now. Right? So that's what I want you to understand, is that this is why we're missing billions of dollars of tourism revenue. We've given you the numbers of how much money is flowing through this city, but we're not capturing very little to zero of these dollars. Because I'm from the city. I do not know Black people that have built businesses that capture tourism dollars. While tourists come to this city every year and spend big money. And every year gets bigger and bigger. I just came from Orlando, I think, for Christmas. I wish I was 10 years old, and I don't never say I wish I was younger, but I wish I was 10 because Orlando is so popping right now. If you a 10-year-old in Orlando, you're going to go crazy as a teenager because Orlando's popping. Like it is on another level how much they've built that city out. It's something to do every day of the week now. And when I was growing up in Orlando, it wasn't something to do every day of the week. Orlando is so built out because of why the tourism numbers go up every year. And they want to make sure that when you come to Orlando, what do? You drain your pocket. That's what Orlando's designed to do for tourists. It's designed to make you drain your pocket. So they got nothing but restaurants, nothing but entertainment, nothing but places to shop. Then you got all the theme parks on top of all of that. So when you come to Orlando, the goal is to make you drain your pocket and leave with no money. So my question is, how come we not trying to get in that line of people that's going to help these people drain their pocket? Because that's what everybody else trying to do. They trying to get the visitor to drain their pocket. So this is what I'm talking about, is that I've seen this over the years. It is very unfortunate. It's another reason why Black people are being pushed out of Orlando, even though nobody wants to talk about it. I'm talking about the actual city. I'm not talking about them Negroes that's living way out there in Altamont talking about they live in Orlando. I'm actually from the city of Orlando, right? They're being pushed out of the city because we never focused on building an economic base in the city. Everything else is more important than that. So then as you start to deal with a lot of economic pressure, you just got to get out of the way because you can't deal with it. Well, other groups come in with the goal of how can we get a piece of the revenue that's coming into the city? Then how can we use that revenue to build an economic base? And anything that don't have nothing to do with that, we're going to leave that alone, right? We're going to leave that alone. Let everybody else argue over this other stuff that don't have anything to do with those two things. And we're going to focus on that. And we're going to put everything else to the side because we don't have enough of a foothold in Orlando to be arguing over the rest of this stuff, right? So that's all I want to talk about. Like I say, we're not going to be here long because it don't make sense to just keep beating a dead horse. Some people going to get it, other people not going to get it, and some people willing to do the work to be successful in the area, and the others are not. And as a result, you're going to keep getting pushed farther and farther out. And in 10 years, I'm telling you, it's not going to hardly be any Black people living in Orlando. Why? Because you're not going to be able to afford to live there. They're going to push you out. But you got their piece of paper, though, so I guess everything going to be all right. Let's read these comments, man, and get up on out of here. GC, man, what's up with it? Julian, what's going on, man? Miss Essence, appreciate you coming through. Miss Lady L, appreciate it. Miss Phoenix, what's up to Toledo, Ohio? Appreciate you coming through. Hope everything going well for you. Yeah, Chinese are relatively new middle class. They also buy a lot of luxury, too. They real big luxury buyers, right? Chinese are doing a lot to improve their population, to make them a lot more economically viable, and it's created a new class of Chinese shoppers. They're real big on that luxury buying. GC say, I used to watch the Nike outlet videos 4 or 5 years ago. The outlet spots always had the courageous finds. Yeah, it's still nice. It's not as good as it used to be because of the internet, especially because of eBay. But it's still some good stuff out there. I don't go to this one. This one is the old outlet. I don't go to this one. I go to the one, they call it Vineland Premiums. They got a much bigger Nike outlet, right? This was the one that was big when I was in high school in this area right here. This is what we call the outlet mall. This is really over there by Tangelo Park. This is the oldest one in Orlando. But yeah, they still got some nice stuff, but it ain't as what it used to be. I want to say maybe 2000 to 2010, they had everything. Because I remember when Kobe dropped them Kobe's, they had the white Kobe's, they had the Laker Kobe's, they had like every Kobe color, every colorway you wanted. When he first started dropping them Kobe's, they had it for the low, like $50. So you go through there with $200, man, you get you like 4 pairs of Kobe's and you be out of there. And I love them Kobe lows. That's one of the better basketball shoes Nike ever put out. So Essence says, I know what you're talking about. We have a lot of VA Beach in Norfolk. I believe you. They got a lot of tourists. So I believe you. Right? Get them tourism dollars. Miss Phoenix, I appreciate the $20. Thank you for the concise, detailed analysis of your city. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Right? So Birkins are the things. Now, yeah, I don't know. Last time I bought a bag for somebody, it was a Michael Kors. That was years ago. GC with the facts. Ariana with the flame. So FredX, great information as always. I appreciate it, FredX. Let's talk about application of the information, though. That's the next stage. But I appreciate the support. GC says, I know some Pakistanis and Hindus who run hotels and gas stations. Yeah, definitely. I think here in Atlanta, the Patels are Indians. They're the biggest hotel owners. Indians are massive hotel owners in Florida. Massive hotel owners in Florida. And you'll see that if you go to Orlando. A lot of hotels are going to be owned by Indians if they're not part of that big chain of them hotels. But they also got like a lot of the independent franchise. A lot of the smaller hotels going to be owned by Indians. But the Patels are real big in the Atlanta area as hoteliers. And in India, the Patels are known to be about business. That's what they do. Their last name was Patel. They own some business stuff. They ain't trying to be engineers. They trying to be business people. That's what they known for. So they've just brought that to the United States. John James, man, appreciate the support. So say I grew up in Orlando from the age of 10. Appreciate it. Right? Adriana, also from Orlando. Y'all from Orlando. Y'all from Winter Haven. Let me know. I hear you. So what happened with Disney and DeSantis? Nothing. Disney, this is what happened to Disney. Let me show you what happened. Let me go right here. I missed it. Let me show you what happened to Disney. Magic Kingdom, 57,000 daily. Disney Animal Kingdom, 38,000. Epcot, 34,000. Hollywood Studios, 31,000. Typhoon Lagoon, $6,000. Blizzard Beach, 5,000. That's what happened. It's about business. Ain't about nothing else. Ain't about nothing else. About business. Nothing else happened. All that is just, it's internet, political stuff. It's about business. Because no business doing these type of numbers, you don't get to them type of numbers if you ain't focused on business. You can't be worried about nothing else. Right? So appreciate the super chat, but yeah, nothing happened. Business happened. And that's all that's going on is business. And that's what I want people to understand. Ain't nothing going on but business. Nothing else. And ain't nothing else ever going to go on but some business. Don't let politicians fool you. Right? Because his business is getting people's attention. Disney's business is driving people through their parks, maximizing spend, and getting them out of there and getting them to come back. And really, Disney wants you to stay in the resort, which they own, go to their theme parks, and they keep a wall around you. That's the only thing that's going on. Nothing else is going on. And nothing else is going to go on. Because nobody's going to mess up $4 billion in state and local taxes in real life. Right? Nobody's really going to do that. But it sounds good on the internet. That's why we got to separate the internet from the real world. Right? But I appreciate the super chat. Okay, you from Orlando. Okay, I feel you. Oh, you from Tangelo. Okay, big up to Tangelo. Right? I think I know somebody that stay over there. I never really was over there. Magic Beds, I'm going to Orlando for Disney and cruising the sim. I'm ready to spend. Yeah, that's what they want you to do. They want you to spend. Right? So, rich man, you kind of off base. So what we're going to do is we're going to get you up out of here. Right? You got to ask these people from, yeah, so no disrespect to anybody, but Orlando is the biggest city in that area. So you'll ask people, you'll be like, I'm from Orlando. And you'll be like, well, where you from in Orlando? And they'll be talking about like, I'm from McCoy. No, that's not Orlando. I'm from Sanford. That's not Orlando either. I'm from, Lakeland. That's also not Orlando. But Orlando's similar to Atlanta. With Atlanta, which is really not a big city, being the number one in the area, everybody will tell you they're from Atlanta. When you ask them where they're really from somewhere else because Atlanta's really not that big. The metro's real big. So Orlando might have 300,000 people in the city. The metro got 1.5 million people. So the majority of the population don't even live in Orlando. They live in the metro. I'm actually from the city. Like I could literally, it'd take me about 30 minutes, but I could walk to downtown. It'd take about 30 minutes, you know, just a nice little walk. Take about 30 minutes, but I could walk to downtown where I'm from, right? So I'm actually from the city of Orlando. So that's the thing. So, you know, that's something that you got to ask when people tell you they from Orlando. Like, I'm really from the city, but nobody knows any area outside of Orlando except Orlando. So they just say that. So it's cool, but I'm actually from the city, like for real. So it's different. I'm from a real neighborhood in the actual city. Joe Cool, man, I appreciate the $10. Miss Lady L says, people do that in Chicago. I believe you. I looked at a map of Chicago the other day. I'd be looking at real estate in Chicago. I've seen the metro area of Chicago now even includes Indiana. That's how big, because the metro got 9 million people. So they got the metro area of Chicago even being like the eastern, really the western part of Indiana, but it's really that cutoff, you know, our Indiana and Chicago border. They even got parts of Indiana not calling that Metro Chicago, because Chicago Metro is massive. We got 9 million people in the Metro. So you're going to get that in Chicago. But yeah, my people really from Chicago, they from the Woodlawn area. So they from Chicago, right? So that's why I be talking about Chicago. I got people really, and I still to this day got people that actually live in the city of Chicago. They live in Chicago. And they don't even have to. They got so much money, they ain't got to stay there, but they just like Chicago. They really like living around black folks. Yeah, that definitely Indiana borders the city. I had my cousin's ex-husband. He used to do real estate. He would drive and go see real estate in Indiana, but it was close enough to Chicago. With him being a Chicago real estate broker, he would also try to get those deals. So you're right, it does border. If you look at it on the map, you see where Indiana borders the city, right? That's why you be seeing people from Gary be in Chicago. You know, big up to Gary, Indiana. So we're going to get up on out of here, man. Like I say, we ain't going to be here long. Appreciate everybody for coming through. But I want to really encourage you, man. Make sure you actually try to figure out how to capture some of the economic situations going on in your area if they do go on. Everybody doesn't have a scenario similar to Orlando. Orlando is a very unique environment. A lot of people are not really used to that because they come from a city that, like I said, you don't get an exchange of new people in the city on any regular basis, right? You don't have a lot of dollars coming into the city from outside of the city. The city has to produce things and sell them to other people. In Orlando, everybody comes to us and they spend our money based on what we have in the area. But I want to really encourage you, learn how to recognize a lot of economic opportunity and then learn how to create a vehicle or vertical to take advantage of that, or just realize you don't want to be involved in that. That's cool. But the people that are doing it, you're going to be beholden to them because they're really the most important people in your particular area, right? Hope you got some value from it. Appreciate everybody for coming through. David W. Williams, talk to y'all later.